My name is Greg Mengarelli, Mayor of the City of Prescott, and you're watching Prescott Today. We have a great show for you today. We're going to look back at 2018 and all the great accomplishments in our city. Then we'll also take a look forward into 2019 and talk about some of the key issues that's facing our city. We have two guests on the show today. City Manager Michael Lamar will be joining us a little bit later. But now we'd like to welcome Mayor Pro Tem Billie Orr to the show. Welcome to the show, Billie.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
Well, thank you for being here as well. So, lots of great things in our city this past year as we look back in 2018. Billie, what are some of those accomplishments from 2018 that kind of stand out to you?
Well, certainly for me, paying down our unfunded liability on the public PSPRS, the Public Safety Personnel Retirement System. That's been a big issue in our city for many years now. And we tackled it last year. Our citizens passed Proposition 443. And as a result of that, we started gathering those revenue this year, and so far this year we've been able to send down $17 million.
$17 million.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It
I
is.
know this is an issue, Billie, that you worked very hard
Yes.
on. I remember when I was campaigning
Yes.
that this was going on, and really this kind of dominated our headlines in the paper, and everybody was talking about it. It sort of had us paralyzed. It's so good to have this behind us.
It did. It was a dark cloud over our city, and I really think the prosperity that we're seeing today would not be possible had we not been able to get over that hump and start paying this down, because I have a great chart here, Mayor, I'd like to show you, and it shows the amount of money. We were at $86 million unfunded liability. Wow. And so now we are sitting at 69. Okay. 69, that's quite a drop. And while that's still high, had we not, and we have a chart to show, had we not started paying this down, the red number would have continued to grow. We would be well into $100 million this year. So now we are in such a better position. We started the year in fiscal year 17, we were at 30% funded, and now we're at 46% funded, which is major.
So what we're really talking about, you know, is the retirement system for police and fire and some other folks. And Prop 443 was passed, which was 3/4 cent sales tax.
Exactly.
And the prediction was, I remember at that time, is that it was going to raise about $1 million of revenue a month. And what are you finding?
And we're hitting that mark. We're raising about $1 million. You know, as long as we stay on this projection, I think we're going to be. The other thing that we've done, and some of the folks that were concerned about 443 were concerned that we would not be using our general fund to pay the ARC, which is the annual required contribution. We've continued to take that out of our general fund, and it's not depleting our general fund, so we're doing very well. Just as we predicted, we're going to stay on this. We're going to get this done for the city of Prescott. So it is a huge present for our city to start 2019 with this kind of news.
Yeah, no, this is great news, Billie. It's kind of funny that good news is a $69 million unfunded
I know,
liability.
but it sure beats 100.
but right, we're going in the right direction, and I think the public, it's important for our listeners and viewers to know that all the money raised from Prop 443 is going right to that debt.
Every dime. Yeah. Every dime, and it is working as we promised it would, and we're going to stay committed to this until the city gets this off of its plate.
Well, there's a lot of great things that we have done in 18 and that we want to do in 2019. It's good to have this kind of put to bed, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. I really think this was pivotal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
We wouldn't be able to do many of the great things that we see in the city had this not been addressed.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, thanks for your work on that.
Sure.
What else is going on that you'd like to talk about? Citizens Academy is something new?
That's been such a plus for our city to start our Citizens Academy. We just finished our second class. Each class is about 25 citizens, and they go through an 8-week course, and we feed them, and then we show them everything about our city. We do field trips. We have people come in. It's a total commitment to educate our citizens about how our city works. It brings about transparency. It brings citizen engagement and involvement, and they absolutely love it. They want a graduate class. They want a level 201.
What are you hearing from those participants, you know, after the class? What are they saying afterwards?
They are amazed at our city. They just see, because, you know, if you don't really know about the city, you don't really see how much we actually do. Right. So they are amazed at the quality of what we do and how efficiently we run. And we are still, we're right under 500 employees. We have every department that the city of Phoenix has.
Okay.
But we do it at our scale, and so they're pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the fact that our staff members, city
Yes.
staff, get to interact with this group of people. And I think what I've heard is people are really impressed with the level of excellence and
Exactly.
professionalism
Absolutely.
from our city staff.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they're excited to be involved, to ask to come and participate. And I just so appreciate Michael Lamar saying, yes, let's do this. And Tyler Goodwin has just really helped us so much on that, so we appreciate it.
So there's 3 classes a year, is that right?
4.
So there'll be 4 classes
Four
in
classes. And
2019.
if people are interested in signing up, they can go on our website and sign up for our next class. And they fill up pretty quickly, so I encourage people to do it. And you may have to miss one class, but we wouldn't want anybody missing half the classes because
Right.
there's some continuity. And you also build this cohort.
Right.
I was shopping, and one of our members comes up to me and she says, I want to introduce you to my mom. So you really get to know these individuals, so it's wonderful.
Yeah, well, thanks
Happy about it.
Thanks for your work on that. 2018 was a banner year economically. How did that play out, like with bed tax? Do you have any numbers on?
So as you know, I'm Mayor Mengarelli. I'm the liaison to the Tourism Advisory Committee, an amazing group. We have a large variety of people that are in the tourist industry, and they come and they advise the city about how to use the bed tax. And this year, the bed tax will be coming in right at about $1 million this year. So
Wow.
we're up quite a bit. We're actually up like 12%
Okay.
so far this year. And we're using that money wisely because what we do, not only do we reinvest into like our museums and activities in our community, we also advertise the city on that to get more tourism to come in. So this year we've really been targeting California, LA, with our flights to LA, and also Denver with our flights to Denver. Okay. So we're doing a lot of destination marketing there. And also internationally, Canada is our top reach, and then the UK, and then Germany. So we're doing a lot of social media, a lot of advertising. So it's really bringing in our tourism. So we're very excited about this.
So you mentioned 12% increase year over year.
Yes.
In bed tax.
In bed tax.
That would indicate that you're seeing a rise in tourism then.
Yes, definitely. And the bed tax is a 3% bed tax that goes just on hotel rooms. So we talk about heads and beds. So if someone is paying, this is not beverage or food, it's just bed tax. So all of that money, that 3%, comes to the city, and then we allocate it out over activities that we do in the city and to do more marketing for our tourism because we are a tourism city.
Well, that really builds on itself.
It does.
You're seeing that number increase, but you're using all those funds through the Tourism Advisory Committee to invest back into marketing to get more people in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, too, is we work very closely with our parks and recreations because they bring a lot of tourists in with certainly the people that come hiking, any of the biking events that we do, and also all of the like pickleball tournaments and softball tournaments. All of those things play into this because people come here, they need to put their head in a bed, and they're going to pay 3% bed tax, which helps us keep everything that we're doing going.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yes, it's amazing.
Well, thanks for your work on the Tourism Advisory
You're welcome.
Committee.
I love it. They're a great
Yeah,
group.
Good group. So then, one other initiative that I remember, Michael Lamar had gone to a conference and came back, and he was all excited about making City Hall
Right.
more friendly.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about some of the things, some physical things that changed at City Hall,
We
as
did.
well as, a friendly face to greet us.
Exactly. So we got together some employees here at the City Hall and said, so how can we make this warmer so that when people come into their City Hall, they are welcomed and do not feel like they shouldn't be here. So we really kind of just a can of paint will do a lot and opened it up a little bit, took down some of the things that seemed cold and harsh, and we created an ambassador program. So we actually have someone that welcomes them to the City Hall. Welcome to City Hall. How can I help you? And we have, we have somebody on duty every day in the morning and in the afternoon. And they love it. We love it. And citizens are really excited to be welcomed.
Yeah, no, that's
It's a good
great.
thing.
That's great.
Very, very similar to the Citizens Academy. Just they learn more about the city. They feel more comfortable. No one's sitting out there waiting, where do I go? What do I do?
Sure.
It's
yeah.
good.
People usually don't read signs. I know. So it's nice just to have
Yes.
someone, direct
It
you
is.
to where you need to go. So a lot of good things in 18. We could probably fill a few shows.
We
with all the
could.
amazing things that
It's
happen.
been a banner year, Mayor, and I so appreciate your leadership and the leadership of council and our citizens and Michael Lamar and his staff. This is a real team effort. No one person or no two people.
Yeah.
It takes us all, for sure.
Yeah, well, you're right. We have a great team, a great council. So now here we are in 2019 at the beginning of a new
Yes.
year. What do you see the issues that we might be facing this year?
I am so excited about 2000. I literally wake up at night thinking about what all is going to happen next year. And I think I've told you this personally. I think within the first 6 months of next year, we're going to see some amazing things happen in this year, 2019. One I'm very excited about is the redevelopment of Granite Creek. The Granite Creek corridor from Mile High Middle School all the way through the Hilton Garden Inn, and the beautiful park that's going to be there with the railroad trellis and the Sam Hill Hardware. That is just really going to change the look of that area of the city.
I don't think a lot of people really realize that it's there and may not understand exactly what you're talking about. But there's Granite Creek, which runs kind of at the entrance of Mile High.
Exactly.
When you come into Mile High Middle School, and then all the way up by El Gato Azul, all the way out to the park on the other end.
So if you're sitting at El Gato Azul and you look over the creek there, and this is what we're talking about, same thing at Dinner Bell, same thing behind the Charlotte Hall Archives. I mean, it's a beautiful area and is really underdeveloped. It's an asset that we have. We just got an $80,000 grant that we're going to work with, kind of channeling the water, and it will just open it up, make it safe. We've talked to Debbie Black about maybe putting some lights down there.
Good.
Just really make it accessible, and because it's an asset that we haven't really.
It's an untapped
Exactly, and we have Christy Everson is working with us on that. She's taking the lead in that.
Okay.
So we appreciate everybody's jumping in. It's amazing.
People are concerned about the Dells, and we have a development that we're looking at with Arizona Eco Development out there. What are your thoughts with the Dells?
I have said from day one, we're going to save the Dells. We're going to save every inch of the Dells that we can. It is private property, but we have been negotiating now for months, and I think that people will be very pleased once that outcome is done, and because it's iconic. I mean, there are many things that are iconic about our city. Certainly downtown, our Yavapai Courthouse, also the Dells, the beautiful forest that we have around us. So we need to preserve everything that we can, and we're going to save the Dells.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. It's going to be, the sooner we can do it, the better in my books.
Long awaited, right? This has been kind of...
This has been going on for decades.
True.
But I would like to say, Mayor, we have right now, we have 418 acres in the Dells that belongs to the city. Our lakes.
Before we ever started.
Before we even start on Arizona Eco Development, exactly. We just last year purchased the Storm Ranch, part of the Storm Ranch, 160 acres. Beautiful trails that they're putting in there now. So the city has, I believe, done a good job. Maybe they could have done more. So it's our opportunity to do more. And we're going to do everything that we can. And I appreciate, again, your leadership on that.
Yeah, no, I think people are going to be really happy here this year with what they're going to find with the preservation of the Dells.
I think so too.
What else in 19, Billy?
Can I say one other thing? I'd like to make it more accessible. Some people can't go for up and down and over with their bikes. And so I'd like for us to also, as we save these rocks in the Dells, just see how we can open it up for more people to be able to get in and have access to it, to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
It is.
And currently, I know like on the south side, the Peavine Trailhead,
Right.
It takes a while to come up the Peavine to kind of get in
It does.
those
It
rocks.
does.
And Watson Lake kind of blocks access on the west side.
Yes.
So I think you make a good point.
So
we can have more accessibility.
And we can work with that with Joe Baines, I think, and try to get something so we can get the people that own it, the city of Prescott, the people, the citizens, get them back there.
Yeah, good. So Billy, what else in 2019 are you looking forward to?
One of the things that we've been talking about, you and I with Michael Lamar, and that's a third-party water audit, to really get our heads around how much water do we actually have. And because we have conserved so well, the city of Prescott, within our AMA, our city, has actually reached safe yield. We put more into our aquifer last year than we took out. So that is safe yield for the city itself. So that certainly doesn't expand all the way out to the AMA. But I think the more that we know about how much water we have, how much we're using, that we are very truthful about that, then I think it's just better for everybody, because then the more we'll know that what we need to conserve or how we go forward. And so I'm excited about that. And I think that conversation needs to happen. And I'm excited that that's probably going to happen within the first 6 months of this year.
Well, no, water is so important
It is.
in Arizona. It's a very valuable resource. We have to use it wisely.
Right.
I think we've done a great job
We have.
conserving, as you've said already. And we just need a better handle on our water portfolio.
We do. We do. And we are in probably one of the best spots in the state. So I'm very proud of what we've done. And we're standing on the shoulders of lots of people that have pushed conservation for a long time. But we just need to know. We need the truth on the table. And so I'm excited about that happening. I think it's going to help us as we go forward.
Well, as great as 18 was, I think 19 will be as good or better.
It will be. I can tell you, Mayor Mengarelli, I'm very excited about the prosperity that's ahead, and working with Embry-Riddle and Prescott College and Yavapai College. Well, there's better relationship and partnership going on right now in our city, I think, than we've had for a long time.
Yeah, I must agree. In so many ways, we have some great partnerships here in our region.
And throughout the whole Yavapai County, working with SIMPO, and also Prescott Valley with their new mayor, just Kale. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
Really good year.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the
You're
show.
welcome.
Thank you for your leadership on our council and in our community. You're so involved, and I appreciate everything you do.
Appreciate
I can't
it.
list all the things you do, but I know you're everywhere. So thanks for what you do in our city.
Well, I love it. I'm committed to Prescott, and I love being here, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We're going to take a little break and come back, and we're going to talk to City Manager Michael Lamar. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Prescott Mayor Greg Mengarelli, and you're watching Prescott Today. We just finished up a great segment with Mayor Pro Tem Billie Orr, and now we have City Manager Michael Lamar. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. Glad to be here.
Well, lots of great things to talk about. Billie and I looked back at 2018, and then we, finished up talking about 2019 a little bit. But 2018, so many amazing things going on, Michael. Let's start with the airport.
Okay.
And give us a little update on.
Well, Mayor, we just had last month a presentation by Robin Sabato of what the terminal is going to look like. The design is moving forward. I think it's going to be a very attractive building, but brought in at the right cost for the community. And it's long overdue. We've had a lot of council members that have been on council a long time say this is a project that they're very passionate about and been waiting on for what seems like a long period of time to get to, and we're there. So it's exciting to be moving forward with the terminal, hoping to start construction sometime in the fall.
So there's a big need there with the terminal. Obviously, if people have been out to fly on United Express, they'll know in the waiting area before you get on the plane that it's like standing room only.
It is.
in
It's
that
crowded
terminal.
in there.
Yeah. And really, this is all because of United Express.
Most definitely.
And that started August 29th of last year, and we hit 10,000 enplanements. And so tell us a little bit more about what that means because we hit those enplanements.
Well, it allows us to get $1 million of discretionary money annually to either help with the service, the debt of a new terminal, or if we end up paying cash, just for airport improvements and terminal improvements, runway improvements. Just, when you operate an airport, there's a lot of ongoing expenses that you just need to plan for and budget for, and this $1 million is going to go a long way to help us with that.
No, absolutely. And, I have been pleasantly surprised with how well received United Express was last year. I mean, I think SkyWest, the parent company, had planned on like a 40 or 50% capacity on those planes, and it was more like 80 or 90%.
Yeah, it's been over 80, which is a pleasant surprise for SkyWest, United Airlines, and for the city. We thought it might take a little while to build the market back up after having a carrier that wasn't as reliable. It hasn't happened. People have just jumped on the planes. The LA route and the Denver route are really quite popular.
Do you think there's a possibility to see more destinations in 2019 or 2020?
Yes, everything I've heard from Dr. Sabata is that because of the employment levels, it shows the demand is here, and additional locations are probably on the horizon. Excuse the pun.
So we're talking aviation. So I think in this conversation, it'd be important to tell our viewers more about a new aviation company that has their U.S. headquarters here in Prescott.
Really exciting. Eviation is a Israeli-based electric airplane company that's working on cutting-edge technology in the electric airplane business. They're going to have a prototype called Alice done for the Paris Air Show this summer. And they're doing some production now, but after the Paris Air Show in the summer of this year, they're really going to be going gangbusters here, and we're going to be their North American headquarters. It's exciting technology, and it's a wonderful partnership between an aviation company, Eviation, and our aeronautical university, Embry-Riddle. The students out at Riddle are going to be doing some of the R&D on this project, and what a cool life experience and professional development experience to have the ability to work on an electronic airplane. So we're really excited they're going to be here. It's clean energy. Obviously, electronic airplanes, just like cars, are quiet, so we shouldn't have some of the community consternation we've had about noise out at the airport. It's just an exciting opportunity, and the nice thing too is there's going to be a ton of trickle-down industries. You know, when you put together a plane, it's not just the nuts and bolts. There's seats, and there's you know, gas can. Well, I guess in this case there's no gas can, but but in any case, we're excited about component manufacturing, and I think there's going to be a nice relationship between Yavapai College and CTEC to do some of the component manufacturing and 3D printing. The best way to keep the weight of the airplane down, because you have the trays for the batteries, is through 3D printing. And both Riddle and Yavapai have great 3D printing programs, so that's going to be a nice partnership too.
You may have already kind of answered this, Michael, but this is a big deal. This is a big company.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we fully realize how big of an industry this could be in our city. Why Prescott?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. The research and development capacity and capabilities of Embry-Riddle certainly helps. One of the things you and I have both talked about is that Riddle and Yavapai and Prescott College, having these institutes of higher learning are a really big deal for job training. And I think Riddle's big. I think we have wonderful airspace. We also have really good weather. They can test some of the altitude problems they might have because we're at a decent altitude. Also, the one thing I've heard from Omer, the CEO, is how welcoming we've been. And he had the opportunity to go be in Silicon Valley or Southern California and be one of many. But because we did so much outreach, he felt like he was his plane is one of a kind and the community is one of a kind. So there's kind of a natural marriage there.
Well, I look forward to 2019 to see how this really unfolds in our city. And like you, I'm very excited about what this is going to bring to our city. And I think there's other businesses that will probably spin off, or we can leverage Eviation to recruit other tech businesses to
I don't
our
think there's
city.
any doubt of that.
Yeah.
You know, you look at what Elon Musk has done with Tesla and the evolution of the electronic automobile. If our impacts are 1/100th of what they've seen in the electronic automobile industry, it's still a huge deal for this community.
Yeah, a lot of shoulder industry.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit. There was a lot of construction in 2018, which I think people like and sometimes dislike because of the.
I've heard a little bit of that too.
The detours. But regardless, you kind of took a different approach to some of these projects, and I've heard the term right sizing. So tell me a little bit more about this.
Well, you're speaking specifically on drainage and roadways and utility work. We did a tremendous amount of planning and engineering on a ton of road work in this community over the course of the past 3 to 5 years. I don't think we brought as many projects as to fruition as we could have or should have. And what you're seeing now, why the city's roads are torn up a little bit right now, is that we're bringing projects to fruition that were on the drawing board for too long. Right sizing was basically going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, what do we need? What do we need to make happen? there was a lot of planning and engineering about specifically drainage, where we were getting away totally from on-street drainage. Well, the problem with that is to create the underground infrastructure to put all the drainage underground is a tremendous amount of money, and it takes a tremendous amount of time from an engineering perspective. And on-street drainage has worked in this community since its inception, so people are used to it. And if you can right-size a project, reduce some of the cost by 10, 20, 30% in some instances, by improving the on-street drainage, but not just piping everything underground, we're doing that. And I'm happy about it. I think I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the community, other than the inconvenience of the construction period, that, hey, we've been waiting on Street X for a decade. Robinson Road is a good example, and we're actually doing the work.
Yeah.
So I'm excited we're doing the work. I do look forward to the day when we've caught up and the roads aren't as torn up as they are. But, when you have aging infrastructure in a community as old as Prescott, you're always going to have something to do.
Right. I think our citizens are very practical. They want the basics done well, and I think that really right-sizing, you're just doing what is essential. You're trying to boil it down to how can we stretch the dollar as far as we can, and I'm glad to see that. We don't need real pretty streets with a bunch of landscape. We need something that's going to work, and I think that's what our citizens appreciate.
You can't get away from the primary focus. The primary focus of street construction is to move people in automobiles, and we're getting back to that.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, speaking of another department that kind of has had some major changes and overhaul is community development. And especially in 2018, a lot of changes there with some longtime staff and even some philosophical changes. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things I'd like to prop up from the staff's perspective is we've really done a lot of outreach to the development community to try to get feedback from the customer's perspective of what are we doing well and what are we not doing well. And what we found out that we're not doing well is time. We're just taking we were taking a tremendous amount of time to get projects in and out. And what we've started to do through new leadership, as you alluded to, Bryn Stotler's come on board and Chelsea Walton. And Bryn's the new director over in the community development department, and Chelsea's basically the development facilitator. One frustration for the development community, or anybody that had interactions, I think, with community development, even if you were doing something at your own house, an auxiliary building like a shed or a permit for a shed, was just not one point of contact. And Chelsea Walton is now the one point of contact. If you have a project in the hopper at the city of Prescott in the development sphere, she is charged with telling you where it is, giving you an estimate on when it's going to be done, and explain the process. I know you heard a lot when you first got elected that was really a weakness, that, not only was it taking a while, it was where the heck is it, when is it going to get out? And Chelsea's really worked hard to improve that. And Bryn also just came on board, and both of them have a private sector mentality and job experience. So they understand that time is money, and getting things in and out in a timely manner is very important. They actually both work for Prescott Lakes in some capacity, or in two different capacities. And I think we're making headway. And also we've worked on the relationship between the engineering, public works department, and the community development department. We're not 100% where we need to be, but we're a lot further along than we were 16 months ago.
Well, this drives our economy, right?
It's a big deal here, right? Building construction, commercial construction, there's a ton of money being invested in this community. And I understand people not wanting the community to grow, but it's not realistic. For every reason you've moved here and I've moved here, is the reason other people want to move here. And I think the city of Prescott does development better than anybody else in the region. I'm obviously biased, but I like the look and feel of our community, and you can preserve that and still grow. When you live in an attractive place, people are going to come. So you have two choices. You have development hopping on top of you, or you manage it. But the idea that you're going to put a gate up and people are going to go somewhere else is just not realistic.
Yeah, smart growth or managed growth is kind of some terminology that we like to use here. And you're right. You want to get ahead of it, want to plan it well, And I agree with you that it's just not realistic to say we just are not going to
No,
grow.
it's-
That's not realistic.
Well, and the other thing that people don't understand is if you don't grow in some capacity, you die. You die on the vine. There's a ton of communities in the Rust Belt and, in the Midwest. I know you're from the Midwest. I even saw it in some places in the South that if you don't grow and you don't prosper, then your community has a short shelf life, and nobody wants that.
Right, agreed. Speaking of growth, Michael, some great projects coming up. The Hilton Garden Inn, and really, when you talk about the Hilton Garden Inn, there's so much more to that project. Tell us about that.
It's a really exciting project. It has a lot of moving parts, and basically it was the city's leveraging a parking lot that's underutilized. In fact, I was just driving around this weekend and noticed, less than 2 or 3 cars in that lot. It's at Montezuma and Sheldon, and it's going to be a 200-room plus or minus Hilton Garden Inn. And the investors, you've met the Shumways. I don't think we could have a better private partner and a public-private partnership. They're going to not only build the Hilton Garden Inn, they are also buying from Prescott College Sam Hill Hardware. They're going to use Sam Hill Hardware as their conference and convention and meeting space. They're going to link up and share the cost of redoing our railroad trestle that leads from where the hotel is going to be to the Sam Hill Hardware, which I think is interesting history for this community that's been underappreciated is the railroad history. So also a partner in this is Prescott College. They currently own Sam Hill Hardware, and they haven't been able to utilize it because it's kind of isolated from their campus. So the money they're going to get from the hotel investor for Sam Hill Hardware, they're going to expand their campus and create a really nice green space on what was APS's asphalt lot. Again, APS is a partner in this as well. They are abandoning that site. They're giving Prescott College a pretty good deal on the property so they can extend their campus. So another nice element to this whole thing is we're going to have a green space just north of Hilton Garden Inn that's going to have a water feature, a splash pad that's railroad themed, and a playground for kids that's railroad themed. This also, I keep adding alsos, involves the farmers market. They've been looking for a permanent home downtown. They're going to take over the management of the community garden, literally grow the vegetables at this location, and then sell them right there. So you think about how many players you have in this. You have the city of Prescott, you have Prescott College, you have the private investors with the hotel, you have a private public utility company, and you have a farmers market group. I think you really are going to see a dramatic change in the whole Shelton, Montezuma area that's going to just be an additional asset to our downtown. I'm really excited about it.
When we had Mayor Pro Tem in earlier, she talked about the Granite Creek Greenway, which really ties this is an anchor on the north end of that whole project, as well as some other businesses that we're aware of that are along this greenway.
You're exactly right, Mayor. It's going to be a really cool north anchor to the Granite Creek corridor revitalization. I mean, you're basically going to be able to go from Elgato Azul all the way to the Hilton Garden Inn on a beautiful waterway. I mean, who has a waterway in the middle of their downtown in Arizona? Not many people.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, is an underutilized public asset. And as we talk about interactions between automobiles and pedestrians and bikers, having a really cool pedestrian connectivity or greenway that's going to link all these neat assets downtown, I think is a big deal.
I'm looking forward to 2019 to see how that whole project unfolds. We would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about another large development that the council passed right before I was sworn in, November of 2017. It was a big council meeting where Deepwell Ranch was approved. What's the update? Here we are now, about 14 months later.
They're moving some earth and doing some projects out in the 89A and 89 corridor. Jim Chamberlain, who is a local, semi-local investor, he's done some work in the city before. He's pulled down some acreage. He's doing some projects right now focused on some residential elements. It's moving. I think there was a lot of fear of the unknown. It was going to all happen overnight.
Because it was 10,000 homes
Yeah,
approved,
exactly.
but that's going to take how many decades?
Well, I mean, I'd like to believe you and I will be alive when that gets done, but maybe not. I mean, some of these projects take a long time.
Right.
And it's not an overnight development. You don't like, snap your fingers and get 10,000 homes. There's a supply and demand with these things. I mean, these projects take decades. I mean, I live in the ranch. For all the development pressures this community has, I think my community is about 50% full. You know?
Yeah, I think I saw some data recently where we grow 1% to 2% in Prescott annually. And it seems to be that that's historically.
Yeah.
And that's probably not going to change.
I don't think it will. I mean, you might have blips on a screen. We had the largest economic downturn since the Great Depression between
Sure.
9 and 15 or 16, and things went slower. And then maybe things are ratcheted up just a little bit more now than they were 10, 15 years ago, but it's managed, it's reasonable.
Right. Well, again, one more development that's really on everybody's mind is the Arizona Eco Development in the Dells. Kind of give us a quick snapshot of where you see that happening. Mayor Pro Tem talked a little bit about, saving the rocks, and that's really our goal. But what's your take on that project?
I've had good dialogues with the developer, Jason Giese, and the Brain Trust with AZ Eco. They hear the community loud and clear. We hear them loud and clear that the rocks are important to the people here. The rocks are important to me. They're important to you. They're important to this council. We're going to do the best we can to get as much of those in public hands as possible, while simultaneously respecting private property rights. It's not a zero-sum game, right? It's not you give everything to the developer or you take everything for the developer. It's a negotiation. And I understand that the public would like to have something to say about that, but I trust that I've heard the public and you've heard the public, and we can relay to the developer what we think is appropriate. And I think the project is going to be good. When I hear people say that Granite Dells is quintessential Prescott, they're right. But quintessential Prescott has a lot of land in private hands. So there needs to be a give and take, and that's where we're at.
Well, I look forward to what we end up seeing with the Dells here in 2019. I think people are going to be very excited about what we preserve there. Even though it's private property, I think we're going to get where we need to go at the end of the day.
I don't disagree with you.
So kind of to wrap up here, Michael, what are you thinking in 2019? What do you see on the horizon? What either issues or exciting things do you see happening this year?
Well, Mayor, you're aware we've had some dialogues about our water portfolio and trying to explain to the public really how well situated we are with our water portfolio. We need to explain where we are, how we can manage growth in terms of water usage. That's going to be a big conversation for the next 12 months or more.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a database conversation. We're not going to speculate about things. We're going to show people with actual information about usage, how we've done the job we have on conservation. That'll be a big discussion. We have several elections this next year, which always makes for interesting local government talking points or discussions.
Right.
But we have such a good council, and I think that most of you are enjoying what you're doing and are planning on running again, and I appreciate that. There's some consistency and continuity with the group we have. You're not always going to agree, but I also appreciate that there's a level of respect for one another, which is nice. Going to have some strategic planning and kind of narrow our focus a little bit in the coming months, which will be good too.
Well, I agree. We have a great team, great council. You have great leadership. We have a great city staff. It's hard to imagine that 2019 could eclipse 2018. The economy was really busy in 2018. Mayor Pro Tem talked a little bit about bed tax, and I believe our sales tax year over year was up about 4 or 5%. What do you think in 2019? You think the pace is going to stay the same or a little slowing? Hard to tell.
It might slow a little. You know, we're somewhat dependent on other economic factors that are more at the macro level, on the national and state level. But we have a nice product, especially from a tourism perspective and a visitation perspective. And I feel really good about our team in those spheres. I think we're really well positioned to continue to grow and prosper.
Well, thanks so much,
Yeah, I'm glad to
Michael,
be here.
for being on the show. Appreciate you sharing your time with us, and thanks for your leadership in our city.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
That's
Likewise.
That's all we have for our show today.
Thanks to our guest Mayor Pro Tem Billie Orr and City Manager Michael Lamar. You've been watching Prescott Today. You can also watch this on Channel 64 or PrescottMediaCenter.org. I'm Prescott Mayor Greg Mengarelli. See you next time on Prescott Today.